Welcome to the Fredericksburg Center for the Creative Arts, FCCA, February 2024 All Photography National Juried Exhibit. I'm Carol Morgan, the curator of the Frederick Gallery, and we invite you to come in and see this beautiful exhibition in person. We're located in the historic Silversmith House at 813 Sophia Street in downtown Fredericksburg, Virginia. This month we have a solo show by Z. Barrios, titled Safari, in the Members Gallery. I want to thank David Kennedy, our videographer, for videotaping these wonderful YouTube videos for the gallery. Thank you, David. I would like to introduce our juror for our All Photography show, Amy George. Amy is an artist and an educator residing in the Shenandoah Valley. She is a visiting assistant professor of studio art in multiple imaging at the University of Mary Washington. Amy holds a Master of Fine Arts degree with a concentration in photography from James Madison University and a BFA from Shepherd University. She has worked as a photographer, videographer for herself and various studios and companies in the area, including the Creative Services team at James Madison University. She specializes in black and white traditional film photography, digital photography, videography, and printmaking. Amy also loves learning and teaching alternative processes and creating hybrid artwork that combines several different mediums. She is currently residing in Edinburgh, Virginia. I'd like to introduce you to Amy George. Amy?
Wow, what a pleasure it has been to be the juror for this All Photography National Show here at the FCCA. I want to thank Carol Morgan for making this such an easy and exciting and wonderful process to go through, and all the applicants that put forth their work with their boldness and creativity to step out there and show their creations. It was such a very easy process, but very challenging in the sense that I had to narrow down and make selections. Just a little bit about myself is I enjoy teaching, definitely, and making my own artwork and really incorporating a healing lesson into the students to help them create and express themselves and grow through the process of it all. So looking at all of these images today, it was just such a wonderful experience to see all this creativity flourishing. I work with black and white, 35 millimeter, and branch out to alternative and historic processes. So it was great to see such a wide range of photography in this show. And I look forward to discussing the pieces that I chose for honorable mention and the top 3 winners. Thank you. Here we go. This photograph is still by Esther Sten, and she's from Fredericksburg, Virginia. When I first saw this piece, it was just like a moment of stillness for me. So, and the title is Still, so that's kind of fitting. But this was almost like a meditative experience to look at. And the softness of the colors is what drew me in. The almost negative space being used, the lack of a lot of detail or other like landscape happenings in the photo. This very definitive horizon line, but the tree almost seems to like disappear into who knows what, a void, a place full of possibilities. And you can see a subtle gradient of colors. So there is a lot of pastel pinks and purples and blues in this. And then because of that horizon line, you can differentiate the sky from maybe what we would call the ground or the foreground. But what a surreal moment this was. It almost looks like it's not even on Earth. It looks soft. It looks inviting. It makes you question reality almost in a sense. And then the very detailed portion of the tree. And as you get in closer, I had to look and see if there were birds in here or not. But as you get in closer, You can even see more detail on the branches, and just the contrast of this background soft area with the spininess and prickliness of this barren tree. So what a lovely photograph, what a lovely moment to experience and be still. The next honorable mention piece is Frozen by Karen O'Donnell from Locust Grove. And this piece as well was such an experience as I viewed it for the first time. And it really drew me in and made me question what this even was. And the title sort of alludes to it being ice. But there's so many different things going on in this photograph. There's a look of metallic in certain places. The more you look into it, the more detail you see, and it becomes this very abstracted and almost surrealist piece. And it almost begins to look like a painting in some areas. You can see here, there's a little bit of depth and warping under the surface layer of this, what I'm assuming is ice. You can see the depth of the bubbles either coming or going. They look like they're sort of ebbing and flowing throughout the piece. This began to look sort of like a fish head to me, but it really has this metallic sheen on it. So seeing images within an image, I started to really dive into this piece even more to see how many different things that I could see within one photograph. The gradient of the colors was so lovely, and even the color that came out of this water and this reflection, from blues to darker blues to greens, there's almost some yellows, and then up into tan and white. So it really is this awesome gradient throughout the piece. There's areas that look more sharp and then areas that look very soft. And through the bottom of the piece here, it's almost like these the ice and the patterns that it created underwater are defying gravity and moving upward through the piece, and these bubblings coming upward. So it really is sort of a great disorienting piece in a good way, to where it kind of takes you out of the moment and really puts you into this piece. You can feel the coldness from it, but the coldness is also inviting you in with the softness and calmness of the blue. A very wonderful experience to view the depth and the layers and all this piece has to visually explore. The next honorable mention piece is Past Lives by Rebecca Carpenter from Morgantown, West Virginia. And this was such a striking piece when I first viewed it for a variety of different reasons. On a more visual level and compositional level, there's a lot of repetition and rhythm throughout this piece. The kind of rectangular shapes of the chalkboard, mirroring the reflection on the floor, mirroring the spaces underneath the chalkboard. So it really is broken up and dissected into many different levels throughout the photograph. And then a surprise in the photograph is this figure, or half a figure, in this little crawl space. I'm not exactly sure what this space is, which is part of the fun and uniqueness of this photo. And the positioning of the figure almost looks like it's walking or moving, but then a really delicate turn of the fingertips adds a real softness to this odd position and pose and crawl space that this figure is in. I enjoy the colors of this photograph and the age of the photograph, and it relates to the title, Past Lives. So it makes us feel like this is kind of a moment in time, a memory, a moment from history. And then the age of the subject matter in the photograph resembles that as well. So the old wooden school desk, the chalkboard that has this beautiful weathering on it, and the remnants of letters all throughout the chalkboard. So someone wasn't doing their job after class cleaning the chalkboard here. And then there's even more detail as the paint is peeling here towards the top. So you can see the layers underneath the paint here, and there's even, you can see, I guess, the paint color before it was painted this tan color. So a lot of depth and a lot of things to explore in this photograph. I love how this outlet conduit runs across there. And then down here in this bottom level, there are no windows shown, but we get the idea of where the windows are because of where the light is coming from. And then a real soft but bright addition down here at the bottom of the photograph, leading us over to all of these crumpled papers here. So you can really weave together this story and then get thrown for a loop when you see the subject matter in the middle of the photograph. So a very unique, beautiful moment relating to the title of a past life. So really makes you question really what happened in this schoolroom, why this figure is here, and such a delicate and intimate moment in this space. The next honorable mention is Boldness by Shanna Abernley from Fredericksburg, Virginia. And this was such a striking and powerful image to me. And then as I looked closer, it brought up a lot of questions in my mind. So I was very intrigued by this photograph. Compositionally, it's a very tight crop, so it makes you feel very intimately interacting with the subject matter. And then you're able to see many different things as you move in closer and explore this tight composition. You can see textures and wetness throughout the hair. You can see the gaze. It's sort of a powerful gaze, that the chin is up slightly, the gaze is up slightly. So there is sort of a power behind this gaze, but also a softness with the expression with the rest of the face. You can see different jewelry, and then as you move in even closer, you're aware that there is water or a liquid coming down the face and dripping off the chin. So we're capturing motion here in photography. And then you can see it coming down the neckline as well, which creates this nice contour and flow throughout the piece as well. It was very interesting and made me question why this person's face was wet and doused in liquid, or that there was liquid poured over their face. It could be many different reasons, or a cleansing, a washing, some like a bathing of sorts. So a lot to question and ponder about this photograph, with its beautiful softness and power, and definitely a sense of boldness in this piece. The third place award goes to Teresa Blatt, and the piece is titled Wraith, and she is from North Hills, California. This image caught my eye right off the bat because, as she describes it here, it's a shadow photo negative. So we're obviously familiar and comfortable with seeing shadows being dark instead of light. So in this case, this shadow is a negative space within the piece, and the background is made darker, so a reversed image. And as you explore, this is a piece that is smaller in scale, so you really have to walk up and be confronted with this piece. And as you do, you can see many different details in this. There is in the background behind the figure, and you can even see it in this little piece between her arm and her body. They're almost, to me, like plant-like structures moving up, very organic flowing movements upward throughout the piece. And there's so much movement within the figure itself this elongated form, the arm being stretched up delicately, the hand is placed up in the corner. And this tension in the space here between the edge of the hand and the edge of the piece. And then coming back down and having that nice sharp bend in the elbow and the softness of the hand there. But it almost has like a bony, withering quality to the hands too, which shadows can really warp the image of what we are. They can elongate things, they can make things wider. And in this case, a very elongated figure, almost kind of dancer-like in this piece. And then with the organic elements dancing up through the piece as well. And this mass over here of negative space along the edge, you can really see a lot of details. So it looks like maybe another organic element in the piece, or a living structure of some sort. And the marks throughout the piece, this is almost moon-like, or creating this little glow and balance throughout the piece, balancing her hand, balancing this dark area up here in the top with this negative space below. And moving it even closer, you can see that there's some color in this. There's this underlying hue of blues. If you move around, you can begin to see texture of the artist's hand within the piece. So it looks like this piece was manipulated by the artist, pieced together very thoughtfully and delicately, just like the subject matter in Rape. And for second place, we have Girl Viewing Orca Art by Haley Light, and the piece is actually by Penny A. Parrish from Fredericksburg, Virginia. And like I said earlier, I work with a lot of black and white, and I chose the awards for this juried show based on variety. And this Penny's pieces, I had to choose between several of them. And this was the second place winner, I decided. But heavy use of color with Penny's work that she submitted. And I just loved the situation here and the synchronicity of the situation here. And it was almost slightly humorous just because of what great color comparison here and the play of the color off of one another. So we have the figure here with the back towards us. We have the frame broken up here into thirds. And then we have this really awesome elongated composition. So it's a different size of photograph that we normally see, which automatically really draws you in even before you might see the subject matter. And the soft stance of the person, the knees aligning with the break in the wall here. But then we move up through this hair, and then we see what she's actually looking at here. And it's an orca whale. And what a great match of hair and the orca playing off of one another. The different textures within the whale, the different textures in the hair, and almost this flowing sense of water throughout the hair, which can relate to the subject matter of the orca. But the painting of the orca, you actually don't see this orca floating in water. It's more of a negative space, white textured area. So a lot of interesting things going on in this photograph. And it just makes me smile viewing this moment in time with this person viewing another piece of artwork. And then let alone the beauty of the textures of the floorboards, the old molding. You can see the imperfections of the paint, and then the textures of the walls. So it's really this underwater experience, being out of water and being able to witness the synchronous moment of this person viewing another great piece of art. The first place award goes to Nellie Bittenbender with Flumen and she is from Fredericksburg, Virginia. So, like I said previously, it was very, very difficult making the choice and narrowing down honorable mentions and third, second, and first place. And I really went for the variety in this show and wanted to choose a variety of awards that really matched what was being presented to me. And I chose this as first place because it was a very unique piece entered in this show. And I think it takes a lot of creative courage to step outside of the box and your comfort zone and create something that is like this piece here. It's edgy. It has a fascinating delicacy to it. And this is a film photograph. So this is a black and white print or two prints. And as you can see, it has been dissected in the middle here and then pieced back together with safety pins. So interesting to bring metal into photography that already has silver or silver nitrate in it. And then the alternating of silver and gold, really reflecting some of the colors throughout this piece. You can see these little portals here, these little windows with images of nature. There's water and rock on this side and moving water, so there's textures showing sort of the aggression and then the smoothness of water down here, so there's contrast within that. We have an image of trees here, almost silhouetted in this case. And this area down here that there has been almost a warping of the negative or the images on this paper. So very visually intriguing for the viewer. What are these little portals everywhere? What are these negative spaces everywhere? What do they mean? And around the edges and in some parts of the photo, you can see that the paper has actually physically been burnt. So the element of fire here. And who doesn't like to play around with burning things every now and then, right? So there's this interplay of creation with these images of nature and this spherical imagery and destruction by the burning of this paper, but then the piecing together. So this really healing quality of this, but definitely with an edginess, which I think is an important part of this piece. You can see even on the burnt areas, there is tremendous detail. It's almost like a cell-like quality where they're forming or splitting. So just very interesting detail kind of relating to creation and destruction, but with Nellie's sense of edginess throughout the piece.
I'd like to say thank you to our juror, Amy George. Amy, what a fantastic job. And first, selecting these wonderful pieces of photography work, and then the commitment to making your travel arrangements and schedule fit hours. The awards alone are a challenge always, and I really marvel at how you selected your awards. And I hope the viewers have enjoyed her explanation and descriptions of this beautiful work. Please come into the gallery in person to enjoy this beautiful photography exhibition that will be in the gallery until February 23rd. Visit our website for Fredericksburg Center for the Creative Arts for hours of operation. Now this video will be followed by a walkthrough where you can view all the wonderful pieces of work in the All Photography exhibit. And thank you again to Amy. Great job.
Thank you.
the Fredericksburg Center for the Creative Arts, where art and history meet.